Crisp and cold morning here in the Sabi Sands of South Africa. We're on Djuma Private Game Reserve and we are on the trail of what I think is two big male lions. About 45 minutes ago from my bedroom I heard them calling, and what a great way to wake up. Now the problem was trying to find them. I found two sets of tracks heading from the quarantine clearings area. One did appear to have come up from the dam as well, but heading in a generally northerly direction. So we are searching. There's another two vehicles out already, so that's good news. And the two vehicles that are going to be new to the property, there's actually a university that have come out to do field research with some experts in the wildlife industry here. So we're going to have two extra vehicles helping us find animals, which is great news, and I'm sure we'll bump into them somewhere along the way. The instructors that are training these university students are both absolute wizards in the bush, so I think their skills are going to help us to find animals, which is something to look forward to. A little bit of bad news. The other vehicle called Jigger that Brent has been driving has been causing a little bit of trouble lately, so we don't want to take any chances, and there's a mechanic on his way. He should be here shortly to have a look at what exactly is causing this problem. We would rather try and fix it before it gets any worse. So it'll just be myself out for the initial parts of this morning, and depending on the damage that Jigger has, hopefully it will be out a little bit later with us as well. I've got VM on camera this morning, and Nikki and Tara are in final control. And welcome on board, everyone. Let's not waste any time. And I'm trying now to establish where these large male lions have headed to. One thing that we have to bear in mind is that 45 minutes to an hour ago is when they were close by. They can move a very large distance in that period of time, so we do have some catching up to do. Failing that plan to find the male lions, there's also good prospects. I'm guessing the Nkuhuma pride of lion, which have been feeding on a young hippo that they managed to catch 2 days ago, are still somewhere around Buffelshoek Dam. There's a strong chance they would have finished the kill by now, as there was only the skeleton really remaining yesterday evening. But with their full bellies, I'm hoping they wouldn't have gone too far. There's also reports from yesterday of Karula, female leopard, mating with Tingana, a dominant male whose territory is more west of where we are here. And it wasn't only those two mating, it was really interesting because there was also Karula's, one of her daughters called Shadow, and Shadow's young male cub, both watching this whole mating ceremony from a distance. So there were 4 leopards in one sighting, an incredible thing to witness, and we may head off in that direction a little bit later too. There's lots of good options. It's just about deciding where to go and what to do. Too many options. We are spoiled for choice this morning. Let's just hope I manage to make the correct decisions as to where to go. I'm inclined to want to follow up on these male lions to start with, because it is the freshest and closest action to us at this stage. If you're wondering exactly what the temperature was when I said it was a cold and crisp morning, it's 16 degrees Celsius, which is about 60 degrees Fahrenheit. But it certainly does make a difference moving in this open vehicle, because the wind chill factor does play a large role. in the temperature we are experiencing. You would have noticed I've turned around and I'm now heading up Mvubu Road, which means Hippo Road. This road leads us down to Gowrie Dam, and this is going to be taking us in the general direction of the last tracks of those male lion. They can often and will often use roads as major highways and easy pathways to travel along, but in the same breath they can also veer off the road and take their own little shortcuts through the big bushy blocks. And I'm guessing that's what they would have done this morning, because the tracks have not been popping out onto any of the roads that I've been checking yet. You'll notice the mist rising up. It's absolutely beautiful, and I love misty mornings. We just need to try and find you some big male lions. Imagine seeing them walking through this mist, or any animal really, but 2 big male lions would be a very, very good subject to be following in this weather. Mornings like this certainly do make there's all these funny variables out here this morning. The mist is making VM's life a little bit tricky. These are beautiful kudu walking past. The herds of females at this stage of the year can often have large males in attendance with them, looking for opportunities to mate. And I'll be interested to see if there isn't a big male tagging along from behind. They're such elegant antelope, these, and certainly one of my favorites. Surprised at how these lions have managed to shake us off their trail so easily. But that's what keeps our lives out here interesting. You can never predict or assume you're going to know what these animals will do. And this morning is no different when I heard them roaring right outside our rooms, basically. I thought we would have no trouble finding them, but it's proving to be a little bit more tricky than expected. What I have decided to do, and what we're currently doing, is we've looped ahead excuse me, we've looped ahead of their general movements, their general direction of movements, which has been in the northerly direction, hoping to either intercept them or establish whether they've already crossed out of our property, which is a possibility. They can move huge distances in relatively short spaces of time, and an hour was the head start they had on us from when we heard them vocalizing nearby. Well, I thought they may have come up and crossed through here, but not yet, so that's good news. They're still hopefully somewhere on our property. And just to let you know, we are going into an area which is notorious for bad signal. It varies from day to day, but in the next couple of minutes, if we do experience a few shaky moments, please bear with me. I'll try and duck through this area as quick as possible, but we do need to check it. Suggested there could have been some issues, and there were some issues, so sorry about that, but we, I think, should be in the clear from now. If not, in the next minute we'll be in a safe zone in terms of signal, and hopefully in the next minute or two we'll also have a better idea of where these line have headed to. Is that now we are kind of heading into a similar area to where Karula and Tingana, two leopards, were mating last night, so we will slowly make our way into that vicinity and see if they are still mating. If they are still mating, it will be very interesting, because there were reports just a few days ago that she was seen to have suckle marks on her nipples, meaning that she has cubs, and just 2 days later we got a report that she was mating. Now what she could be doing is she could have come into false estrus, mate with Tingana, and that way try and confuse him and make him think that he may be the father of these cubs, and that way prevent him from killing them. Another theory is that she could have already lost the cubs within days of giving birth and is now mating to try and give birth again. Leopards will mate in very short periods, short time frames after losing their cubs in order to try and get the next generation into the system. Anyway, only time will tell, and it is going to be an interesting scenario to try and dissect and understand. Okay, well, we've just got some great information through from Raisa, who's one of our longer term viewers, and she says that after Karula's third litter that were alive and well, she was seen mating with the male. So she could be employing the tactic and the theory of trying to confuse a male and lead a male to believe that it is in fact the father of cubs, that it is not, and that way ensuring the safety of those cubs and preventing that male from killing them and releasing the female leopard of her responsibility to raise them, allowing him to get his genes into the area. So very, very interesting information on previous behavior from Karula, and thank you so much for sending that through. This is now an absolute mystery to me what these lion have done. Okay. Something that's important to remember, even though we are planning on trying to somehow track these male lions down, driving around any of these roads, you have equal chances of bumping into any of the other animals that occur here. It's not preventing us from seeing and bumping into other animals, and it's quite often when you are looking at other animals, you find something that you weren't necessarily looking for. So you did very well here and managed to spot a big male kudu. The vegetation is very thick, so I'm not sure whether we're going to be able to get you an angle on him. And he is in attendance of a herd of females that are nearby. Just got a question through from Virginia in Kentucky. Good morning, Virginia, and hope you're having a good morning so far. Virginia's interested to know whether the male kudu will act as wildly as the impala do during the rutting season. And no, they don't. They really don't display nearly as much as the Inyala and as well as the impala do. Something that's also important to understand is that they do not have a very intense rutting period like impala do. Impala are one of the only animals that have a very short and precise rutting period. The other animals have a bigger window and period of time that they will mate during. Kudu can actually mate throughout the year. There are seasonal peaks when they will mate in order to try and give birth during the first rains in summer around October or November. But they do not have that intense rutting period. The males will still fight with one another for rights over females. And once actually I've managed to find skulls of two kudu bulls that had been fighting, and those corkscrew horns that interlocked with one another, and a pride of lion came across the kudu. Once they'd already died, they died of, I'm sure, exhaustion from being locked into place with one of their opponents. So that does happen, which is really interesting. I've also seen it with buffalo before, where buffalo's horns will become locked together, making for a very uncomfortable ending to those animals' lives. And for any of you who may be joining for the first time, welcome on board, and it's important to realize that this is a live safari and you can ask questions at any stage. To do that, you would hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or send an email through to questions@WildEarthTV. If you'd like to ask me why I haven't found the lions yet, feel free to do so. I wish I knew the answer to that question, but we're going to be trying our best. I've shown William. It was one of the trackers who works here at Djuma, but there's no guests in camp at the moment, so he's got the morning off, and I think he may just be heading up to the gate to collect some other staff members. Some hyena tracks heading down the road. There was also hyena audio very close to where we stay, on the fringe of the quarantine clearings. I'm wondering if these lions have not actually met up. I think they could have split up, then rejoined and changed direction of movements, because I'm very surprised to have not had any of their tracks continuing to the north, unless of course it was just a bit dark when we were looking for their tracks. It's difficult to see tracks as we head out in the morning, and maybe I overlooked some important tracks of them crossing over any of the roads. Especially now that we've only got one vehicle out. When we've got two vehicles out, we can kind of take gambles and take risks in terms of looking for animals. But now that you are just stuck with me, it's a more realistic scenario in terms of what it would be like to be on the back of a game viewer here as the guests experience it, because they are stuck with their guide for a whole game drive. They don't have the beauty of, like you, being able to switch between two different vehicles working in the same area. So essentially there's a little bit more pressure on me this morning. Morning, De Beers in Louisiana, and thanks very much for sending this question through. De Beers is interested to know, how long would Karula be able to leave her cubs for without them dying? Now, that will vary as the cubs become older. Their first few weeks of life, they'll be highly dependent on her for nursing, but they'll be blind and helpless little furballs for the first 2 weeks. So I think during that period, should need to see them at least once every 12 to 24 hours for feeding. But as they become older, they can survive up to 2 days or even 3 days without seeing their mother as they become a few months old, and that's important for them because she needs to be able to go out and feed herself in order to create milk to feed them. And there's no way around that. So it's imperative for her to be able to go out and feed when she needs to. And sometimes hunting can be a tricky procedure, and she may not have the best luck and may need to travel long distances to go and hunt. Or she may need to travel long distances to go and mate with other male leopards to make them think that they're the father of these cubs. So there's a lot on her plate, but the cubs are quite resilient, even from a young age. Now I've checked these clearings twice this morning. There's a chance that they could be flopped down anywhere here and we've just driven past them. And that's why I'm coming back to double check where we had the last tracks of these animals and try and see if we can establish what they've done. Just gonna get out here and check for tracks quickly. I'll just be a minute or two. Well, the mystery continues. I didn't head down there. There's a hardy ibis you can hear calling. A bird with a long thin bill that it uses to probe into the earth in search of crickets and worms. Morning, Andrew. It was Madodangala colouring around quarantine clearings. Tracks appear to have headed north from there, but haven't managed to find them, and I've been looking for a while now, so I'm not sure where they are.
Okay, thanks. Anybody check the right there with the Djuma there?
No, negative. Nobody's headed there yet. I think these Madodo and Gala actually head south down Philemon's Dip, so they must have just been playing around on quarantine And yeah, the tracks are now heading south up to the monster. Okay. So, the lions, obviously we're playing around a little bit around the quarantine clearings, and that's what misled me into believing that they were heading north, but it was just because they were walking around there, and I think it's two males that have met up there, and now their tracks are heading down this road in the completely opposite direction to where we've been looking. I'm going to try and stop when we get into a good spot for VM to try and show you some of the tracks.
Okay, I'll keep it that line. Check when it's going to be at that line.
I think another vehicle has driven here already, but they may not have radio comms, and that's why I'm hoping they haven't informed us of these tracks sitting down here. Anyway, at least we're heading in the right direction now. And now we just have to hope that they have not crossed out of our southern boundary. Where do they go from here? Do they go to the left or do they go to the right? I'm guessing they're gonna keep to the left, but it is just a guess. To the right. Doesn't look like they've come here either. Apologies for the backwards, forwards, left and right. The lines are going north, the lines are going south. It's not working out as well as I would have hoped to, but at least we've got an idea of where they're heading now. I'm just going to go back and see if they didn't choose to use a riverbed as an alternative route, which they either that, or they may have taken a road called Ingwe Alley, which is just up ahead of us here. Okay. I think what we're going to do now is just drive around in the general direction that these tracks are heading in and see if we don't get lucky. My life's been made a little bit difficult here because there has been another vehicle that's driven down this road ahead of us. And that way, as they drive over, they're basically erasing precious information that will help us in finding those animals, because once you've driven over a track and muffled it, we cannot see what the animals have done. So for any of you who have just joined, you're now officially on board a wild goose chase, and there's some lion that have been moving through this area sometime early this morning. It's two big male lions, and I just can't seem to work out where exactly they have gone. But we are going to still try and look for them. But whilst looking for them, it's important to realize that we're looking for any tracks, any other animals. So regardless of which road we drive down here, we could bump into any animal along any stretch of road. So we may as well just focus on some information that we do have on these line, and that is that they have been heading in a southerly direction, it now appears, from the central parts of our property. But while looking for them, we could even bump into a herd of elephants whose tracks I can see all over the road here. The elephants' tracks don't look very fresh because I can see a few small nocturnal animals' tracks on top of them. But a herd of elephant did move down this road last night in the same direction we're heading in. What I'm going to do now is go and check onto Twin Dams Road. When the coalition of male lions who are dominant in this area, called the Matimba males, when they do move through our property, they often move through on Twin Dams Road, and they may have veered off the road behind us through the bush in order to get towards Twin Dams, which is their more commonly used pathway. They don't always use the same paths, but this morning it's all I've got to go on. Tracks here. Okay. Well done, BM. Okay. Good news. BM said he's seen the tracks of these lions, so they have veered onto them more typically used pathway. Oh, Let's just be careful here because there's a very big hyena that's been walking down here. Go again with that, please, Andrew.
Coming low. Drop it back. Just keep on the road.
Copy, thank you. So they did in fact use this road, but not going in the direction that I was hoping they'd be going in. The tracks we have of them here are of the lions coming in to the property last night. I'm wondering if they haven't found some kind of a reason why they would have diverted their pathway or changed direction. Possibly a leopard kill would be an example of a distraction that they may smell the meat of and then veer off their pathway in order to try and steal an easy meal. So I'm guessing that is possibly what's happened, and that's why we may have not found their tracks continuing on any of the roads, which are the major highways they would use if they had continued to move through the property, and they could have headed off into some thick bush in search of an easy meal. Like I said, it is a gamble and always difficult to make decisions as to what to do. There are some other vehicles that are heading towards Buffelshoek Dam, so we should be getting an update shortly on what those lines are up to. I, however, am inclined to want for something new and exciting rather than something that we already know of, and those lions could very well be full-bellied, or they could even be out of our property. We're very close to our northern boundary there. So updates there, and we don't have any luck looking for new and exciting prospects here. And we can head over there a little bit later. Good luck, thanks very much for helping, trying to find some animals for me. I'm currently on Ingwe Alley, but keep me updated on your movements. So Brent is out and about trying to help us find these lions, which is very kind of him. His vehicle, just to update everyone, is busy getting checked out. It's been making some terrible noises when he turns, and the steering is obviously a critical part of the vehicle's inner workings, so we don't want to take any chances and break anything, and a mechanic is on the way, should already be working on that vehicle as we speak. So that is why you are stuck with me this morning. question through from Liz in Wisconsin asking, are these males looking for the Nkuhuma pride of lion which caught the hippo? I don't have a clue who they're looking for or what they're doing here. Only they know the answer to that question. But judging from the territory they've come from, they may not have even known that the Nkuhuma pride have had this hippo kill. They also may simply just be checking their territory. Male lions have got huge territories encompassing several prides of females very often. And therefore it's important for them just to move around and check and make sure there's no intruders around, and also to look for any potential mating opportunities. But it would be impossible for me to assume that they are looking for any given thing. It could simply be that they are just checking out their territory. And just to clarify, jig is not broken, it's just preventative maintenance. We don't want to take any chances until such point that the vehicle breaks, and we're rather going to call in the mechanic now and get him to try and establish what is the problem with Brent's steering on jigger. Martin in Johannesburg, good morning and welcome. Martin would like to know if we've had any updates on the Birmingham coalition of male lions. They're a young and upcoming coalition, 5 members. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with in the future. I haven't heard any updates on them recently. The last I heard they were north of us in the Manyaletsi, although I do remember Brent possibly saying something that they may have somehow slipped south of our position fairly recently, but that cannot be confirmed. I'm just trying to remember if that is in fact what happened. These lions. It's a pity though, Martin. I'd love to see the Birmingham coalition more often. And a few months ago they provided us with some great entertainment when they were catching buffalo. They caught 3 buffalo in 3 days. And 5 young male lions are, like I say, a force to be reckoned with even now, and as they get older they're going to be even more formidable. question through from Pamela in Iowa City. Good morning, Pamela. Pamela would like to know if there's more chances of seeing porcupine in the trees now that the leaves are dying as we go deeper into our winter. And we may have more chance of seeing porcupine simply because the bush is more open and it's easier to see, but they're not going to be up in the trees. They actually live in burrows and don't ever climb trees, so we're not going to find them there. There's also, I guess, an increased chance of seeing aardvark, another nocturnal animal just like the porcupine, but not remarkably different from the summer months. I think our luck is fairly equal over the summer or winter months. The only thing that's going to make a difference is the fact that it is easier to see deeper into the bush, so that is the one factor that may increase our likelihood of seeing both porcupine and aardvark. Another related question to the weird and wonderful nocturnal creatures that we seldom get to see out here is from Judy. Morning, Judy. Judy's interested to know if we also see pangolin, or if there's a chance of seeing pangolin in this area, and there certainly is. There's a healthy pangolin population in the Sabi Sands. However, they are shy and secretive and predominantly nocturnal again, so even though there is a chance we could see them, I've only seen one in coming on 4.5 years of being in this area. And interestingly enough, that was during the day, not at night. So there's a chance to see pangolin here. They're really interesting animals, and I certainly would love to see another one and share that with you. For those of you who don't know what a pangolin is, it's an armor-plated little animal. I'll actually stop and show you in the book, seeing as though I can't find any real animals this morning. I think we're going to have to revert to the book. And the pangolin is a really awesome animal that is worth showing you. Really interesting animal. Actually, often as they walk, they're only walking on their back legs, even though their front legs can be used to assist them when they're walking. They're almost walking upright, but horizontally upright, if that makes any sense. So their front legs very seldom actually carry a lot of their weight as they're walking, and their bizarrely shaped body balances them perfectly on their two back legs. You'll notice in the top picture that William just showed you, they can curl into a ball, making them safe from even lion and leopard when they do curl into this ball. And they eat ants and termites. So it's an armor-plated anteater, you could say, that I've only ever seen once in my whole life, actually. And that was here in the Sabi Sands, in the southern Sabi Sands, probably about 15 or 20 miles from where we are here. I'm still trying to work out where these male lions have gone. It's going to be taking us past the hyena den site. Their last tracks, I think, could have headed in that direction. But they have been moving up and down which makes looking at one track difficult in terms of establishing the direction, because it could have just been as he was walking up and down a road to and fro, and if you're looking at the one track heading in the wrong direction, it's going to throw us off, which is what happened first thing this morning. This is also close to where Karula was mating, and if she has in fact stopped, I'm wondering if we're not going to find any of her tracks here. Also good just to stop and listen, so the next minute or so we can listen and look for tracks. Well, through the process of elimination, we can establish that nothing interesting happened here last night. I'm just going to stop in at the hyena den site quickly. We are right here. It'll be interesting to see what's going on there and take a moment away from what is seeming to be an unsuccessful lion hunt this morning. And who knows, maybe the lions are at the hyena den sites. It's not unheard of. The male lion will do their best to catch and kill hyena, big or small. Let's hope that hasn't happened. This is going to be easy because the hyena aren't here. So that makes our decision for us, and we continue. Got a question through from Penny on Twitter, and thanks very much for sending through all of these questions. On a drive like this where we're not seeing any animals, it's a great opportunity to be able to answer any questions you have been wondering about. And Penny would like to know, which bird do I think has the most impressive camouflage? And the first one that comes to mind is not a specific individual bird, but more importantly, the chicks of most birds that will use ground nests, often shallow scrapes in the sand. Not only are the chicks incredibly well camouflaged, but even the nests, the eggs rather, cryptically camouflaged and lying in just an open bowl or scrape in the sand. Animals will walk past without even seeing them. Then once the chicks hatch, they've also got incredible camouflage. They cannot fly and rely on this intense camouflage to be able to just sit in the grass and things can walk past them and not even know that they're there. And birds like lapwings and francolin, guinea fowl, all fall into that same bracket of having very, very well camouflaged chicks. And often, even if you see the chicks crossing the road behind their mother, as soon as they get into the grass, they just sit down and don't move. And you cannot for the life of you see them. Will this road junction have some good news for us regarding tracks of any interesting animals? Let's go and have a quick look. lot of hyena tracks up and down. The great thing about winter, which is different to summer, would be the fact that even though we've been on drive for a while now, there's still a strong chance that we could still find predators on the move or good action, because the heat does not cause animals to bunker down like they would in summer. In summer, you've basically got the first hour as a window period, so hopefully you find animals doing something remotely exciting before it becomes too hot. And therefore the animals will sleep or seek refuge in the shade. Francois in Hermanus, good morning and welcome on board. Francois would like to know whether I think tracking is a science, and yes, I guess it's a combination of a science and an art form, and whether I consider myself as an expert. Well, this morning I certainly wouldn't consider myself an expert. We haven't been able to find anything, but no, it's a very, very difficult thing to do, to track down animals, and I wouldn't consider myself an expert. No, there are some very, very good trackers, especially in this area of the Sabi Sands, who have been doing it for many years longer than me, and also simply have a better knack of doing it. Like anything, I guess, you get some people that are born naturally with the ability to be good sportsmen or good at maths or good at anything, and others who are not. And it's the same with tracking. You do get some young and upcoming trackers that are really, really good, and they would have relied on the initial tutoring from the older, wiser veterans, but have now overtaken them. Beautiful female kudu. We don't get much closer to them than this. I'm just going to creep forward a little bit because these individuals are in very, very thick bush. Could well be a mother and her calf that she would have given birth to probably 3 or 4 months ago, judging from its size. Yeah. Maybe the kudu will help us find some action. With those massive satellite dish ears, they can certainly hear a lot better than us. And their sense of smell will also be far greater than ours. Has anybody followed up on the Nkuhuma Pride yet? Confirm, is there still any Djuma there?
Yeah, I was also on my way to that tribe. Is it okay if I still make my way that side? Okay, copy that, thank you.
It's warming up considerably now, and it won't be much longer until I take off my jackets. It was quite crisp and cold earlier on. Are still at Buffelshoek Dam, so that is good news for later on. I just want to swing past Treehouse Dam and Twin Dam, see if there's any action going on there, and then we'll make our way up to Buffelshoek Dam. lights. Nothing to see here. Copying you 2 out of 5. Well, here we are at Treehouse Dam. There's a hippo with what appears to be a terrapin sitting on its back. I just can't seem to find my binoculars. There we are. Yeah, there we can see the terrapin a bit more clearly now. And it's feeding on small parasites that would have lodged themselves onto the hippo's skin, mainly ticks. So doing the hippo a big favor. They also keep wounds open though, and much similar to the oxpeckers, the birds that glean parasites off a lot of the herbivores. When any of these animals have wounds, both the terrapins and the oxpeckers can often keep those wounds open. And I wonder if that hippo's discomfort is from the terrapin nibbling on its bottom, or if it's from us. got a question through from Jeffrey in Texas. Morning, Jeffrey. Jeffrey would like to know if male lions from the same coalition were to split up and join two separate prides, would they fight with one another in the future? And the answer to that is that I'm not sure what bird's making that racket over there. I'm just going to stop and try and show you. Anyway, Jeffrey, once male lions form a coalition, it's unlikely that they will disband. They may split up into two groups, but even when all 4 or 5 male lions are together and they are in the same coalition, they will still fight with one another for access to mating with females. So even though they're part of the same team, if you throw a female in season into the mix, they will fight with one another. Not every time, because just like humans, you would understand who is dominant over you, and therefore not pick a fight with somebody that you know you're going to lose with. And it's the same for the coalitions of male lions. They will compete with one another over females, but they typically won't split up and they won't join prides of females. How it typically works is either one male or several males will have access to a large territory. Within that territory, there'll be, depending on how successful the lions are, the males are, there'll be several prides of females. Occasionally, yes, you have one male that's associated only with one pride, but in the Sabi Sands, where we are known for having large coalitions of males, more often than not, it's several males joined together that have a massive territory within which there'll be several prides of females that they can mate with at any stage when those females are in season. They don't spend more time with any other pride over another, and they simply move wherever they feel is best for them to defend their territory against other males and to feed themselves. So those are the two main factors that will cause them to move from A to B, the males. And the only thing that they'll fight about amongst themselves will be females, and they certainly will have the odd argument regarding who gets to mate with who. Beautiful starling. It's just flown up off the road.